What's up, guys? In the works, and yes, welcome to another Underused Weapons, and today we are doing the heavy machine gun on the main battle tanks, and this is something a lot of you guys had requested. But we are playing on some Wake Island right now. We will get back to this game though. We're going to fast forward into another game where I just absolutely go crazy on a team, but apparently I went a little bit too crazy because I was being accused of being a cheater throughout this entire game, because apparently Arrow Killer ran up behind the tank, tried to blow me up, and then I turned around and killed him. Well, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I only killed Arrow Killer once in this entire game, and it was after he tried to, quote, blow me up. So people tend to get very upset when you use the heavy machine gun because it's so underused. A lot of people don't realize that they're getting killed by it. It's like they think they're at a safe distance from the tank, they think they're behind cover, but really, guys, this heavy machine gun, it has no cooldown period. You can just sit there and hold the trigger down on this thing and it's going to do work. That's what you see me doing right here. I mean, look at this. This is a really good streak with this thing. It's one of the best attachments for just holding off infantry, and I don't see enough people use this anymore. Like when the game first came out, and for the first maybe 5 or 6 months, this is the only attachment I used on my tanks. If you go back and look at some of my old tank videos, I'm using the heavy machine gun. But recently it just seems like the better option if you're going to go with an infantry based tank loadout. Considering that Sharky Peninsula, you're not going to be going against any other vehicles, you're not going to need guided shell, and the fact that they've nerfed canister shell has really kind of hurt that attachment because you do have a barrel cooldown, and it makes sense because this isn't a double barrel tank, whereas the heavy machine gun is actually mounted on the barrel up there. You can see it firing above my main cannon. So it makes sense that you don't have a cooldown period on this particular weapon, and it actually is very, very effective at taking out infantry. And I think if this game proves one thing, it's that it's so good that people tend to get mad, especially if they don't know how to deal with tanks. Because a lot of people don't understand just how deadly the heavy machine gun can be. I mean, it does shoot a 12.7, which is similar to a 50 cal. It's actually a little bit stronger than a 50 cal. But in terms of armor-piercing 50 cal rounds, it's a little bit weaker than that. So it's kind of in the middle. So if you've got your normal 50 cal, and then you've got your 12.7 round, and then you've got your armor-piercing 50 cal. I know this is kind of confusing. I don't really know why I'm talking about it. This is kind of in the middle. So it can damage some lightly armored stuff. So you notice that if you shoot it at like helicopters or like LAVs or anything with like light armor, you can do damage to it. But if you shoot it against like tanks and stuff like that, it doesn't really do anything just because the round is not strong enough to pierce it. So it is very efficient in my eyes. I find it to be very effective. Actually, I had a really cool clip that I'm saving for some project I'm working on where I had a helicopter come at me fully loaded. Oh, there's Arrow Killer dying right there. He ran up behind us and got killed by my gunner, not me. So he's accusing me of hacking for getting killed by his gunner. I just wanted to point that out right there. But anyways, back to the topic. I had a pretty cool clip where I think it was a Venom just comes flying at me, and I'm like, okay, you know what, you want to play that game? So I get out my heavy machine gun and I just go to town on that. I think I pick out both gunners, kill the pilot, then eventually destroy the vehicle. So it can do some work. It is actually a pretty effective and versatile weapon to have on your main battle tanks. That's why I used it for so much in the early goings. And then I discovered canister shell, and for the longest time that's what I used, just because, you know, you could be a little bit more spammy with canister shell, especially against like jets and stuff like that. But then once they did patch the canister shell, I did kind of fall back onto the heavy machine gun. So if you're looking for some good tank tips, the heavy machine gun is really, really good against infantry, and it'll help you a lot against helicopters and light armored vehicles and stuff like that. Especially on maps like Sharky Peninsula, or maps where you know you're not going to be going against a lot of armor. Oftentimes you will see me running the heavy machine gun. So I do enjoy using it. Now, it doesn't do a lot of damage. That's the one downside to it. From what I can tell, it does between like 25 and maybe 33 damage, 33.3, maybe 34 damage. I'm not quite sure, considering that not many people care about weapons on the tank's damage stats. It seems like it's really hard to find that information, but in most scenarios it seems like I'm either getting a 3 to 4 bullet kills, sometimes maybe 5 if you're hitting limbs. It's really hard to tell, but for the most part it's kind of frustrating in that respect, because you would assume that if you're getting hit by this large caliber round, that's going to be ripping your arms off, that it's going to be making you, you know, deformed and stuff like that. And oh look, it's our old buddy Arrow Killer, and that's the only time I killed him during this game. Yeah, he was killed by me with aimbot. You know, it seems like people are so quick to call the hack card on people these days, and It doesn't really happen to me that much because I don't ever go on these crazy scores like this. I'm usually too focused on trying to play the objective, and I end up dying like 5 or 6 times towards the end of the game, which usually kind of corrupts my final score because I hate losing. And that's what happened in this game. If you follow me on Facebook, you may have seen, and we're going to fast forward back into the Wake Island game because this has a pretty good end as opposed to that one. And I was really kind of bummed about that last game because I ended up going 36-1, yet we still lost. And it's like, as a tank driver, you can't get out of your tank and plant the objective. I mean, that's a foolish move. You would lose your tank, and you almost guarantee that you lose that game. But with this, is like I had him push back. I was doing a good job pushing the team back, and I think that's what the heavy machine gun does well, is keeping infantry off objectives. Because like I said, no cooldown period. You can just sit there and you can just leave the trigger down if you really wanted to. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but you could just sit there, leave the trigger down, and you will have no consequences. It doesn't overheat. It doesn't have the cooldown period like what happens with the Coaxial LMG, which a lot of people do like using that one. I've noticed a lot lately. It seems to be people's weapon of choice. But honestly, I mean, if you're going to use the Coaxial LMG, use the heavy machine gun. I mean, it's just better. There's really no advantage to the light machine gun. I mean, it does shoot a lot faster, but it does less damage, and it does have that overheat capability. So that's the reason why I never use it, and that's the reason why I've always chosen the heavy machine gun over it. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this quick little look at the heavy machine gun, which is an attachment only available on the main battle tanks. But if you're wondering why these maps look so different, I am using a color corrector. I have removed the blue tint from both Wake Island and Sharkey Peninsula. So that probably answers the question that I know a lot of you guys had. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to keep using it, and that's the reason why I was like, okay, I'm going to roll the dice. I will keep using it. But I will warn you, if you use this, there is a potential to get kicked from certain servers that see this as a corrupt file. But let me know what weapons you might like to see make an appearance in the future, because I'm always looking for your feedback. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.